Nana, I think that we are, when it comes to the approval of the Supreme Court nominees, we have had these discussions before. This nation must move on. This nation must move on. What I know as a matter of fact is that Parliament, the President is vested with the power in consultation with the Judicial Council to make such appointments. That has been done. Until such a time that we decide as a nation that there is a need for us to put a ceiling on the appointment of Supreme Court judges, nothing bars any president, either now or in the future, from proceeding to make appointments to the Supreme Court bench. And you see, for those of us, for many who argue that maybe comparatively in terms of numbers, if you are comparing that of our numbers on the bench to that of the United Kingdom and the United States of America, then clearly our numbers should be seen as being too much. I disagree with them. Ours is a young democracy, it's a fledgling one. And so on a daily basis, people go out there to test the law. The number of cases that we have to deal with, especially when it comes to constitutional interpretation and issues of enforcement of our constitution, because our democracy is now maturing, there are many. You remember, even in the run up to the, what do you call it, the last election, 2024, the number of cases that the Supreme Court had to deal with. And many of us were complaining about the inability of the Supreme Court to be able to timely dispense justice in many of these instances. Because if you are a practitioner and you are familiar with how our systems work, you walk into a courtroom, especially the Supreme Court, and those judges who are impaneled to sit on it, at the end of the day, they start at 9, and if you are not careful, the same panel will sit on about 3, 4, 5 different cases, where preliminary objections are raised, and so they would have to adjourn and move on to another case in that manner. So they really, you wonder how they are able to find time to be able to confidently and succinctly respond to many of the legal issues coming up on a daily basis. So for me, I am not against the numbers, and we should resist that attempt to be comparative in terms of our analysis, because many of these developed countries, their democracies are developed already. Many things are hardly tested there. It ends at the Court of Appeal level. Ours is still growing. We must be given the opportunity to develop that sector. But I would agree with those who are raising concerns about the possibility of political interference when it comes to such appointments. We've seen it in the past, where when His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo decided to pack the Supreme Court bench, in the language of many who were against, our colleagues defended it, saying that it was good for our democracy. I don't think that so much has changed today. His Excellency President Mahama has only proceeded to appoint about 7. That ultimately will bring the number to about 20 or so, because now we have about 13 of them. And a number of them, I'm told, will be going on retirement by next year, and some by the end of this year. So the numbers are really not that awkward from where I sit. It is something that we can manage with and develop effectively.
What would you say to those who argue for an efficient system as against an increase in numbers?
No, I will welcome it confidently. And you see, Nana, that is why I'm saying that I don't think that the problem really has to do with efficiency alone. That is why I gave the background that if you look at the nature of our democracy, we are growing. And so many of these things are expected in terms of the workload. And so efficiency, if that would be beneficial to the process, why not? I welcome that openly. But the point I am making is that we must be careful in the way we push some of these things and the kind of demands we make, because we must pay attention to our democratic journey and know that indeed the Supreme Court will be an instrumental pillar in terms of our desire to improve upon our democratic credentials. And so for me, that is my motivation. But when you come down to what happened yesterday in Parliament, I listened to the mini minority leader. And in all honesty, I was struggling to appreciate his concerns because they took an active part in the vetting of the said Supreme Court nominees. They were active in the vetting. They went to the committee level, I'm told, they raised certain concerns. Those concerns were factored. As a result of that, a report was fashioned out and presented to Parliament. Now, my understanding is that many of the concerns that they expressed, not all were captured in the report of the committee. I know as a matter of fact that when appointments committee, when the appointment committees, mostly when they sit, this is not the first time, and concerns are raised, it is practically impossible for the committee to capture everything in detail that was said at the committee level in its report. The most important point to be made is that, look, these number of people objected, or members of parliament objected, or the minority decided to object. But at the end of the day, majority carries the day. So when the committee's report is presented to Parliament, you simply cannot say that it does not reflect your position as minority. Because whichever way you look at it, if the decision of the committee at the committee level is that they have all passed, even by a majority, that is what has to be reported to Parliament.
Yeah.
And possibly state the grounds why some people decided to oppose. And that should suffice, as far as I'm concerned. And that was what happened. So this needless effort on the part of the mini minority leader to become relevant under the circumstance is something even the MPP should be worried about. Because like I have indicated, they have done this before. In some of these cases, they had our support. Even instances that we did not want to be part of the processes, we walked out and they had their way. That option is available to them as well. Because we must be careful, especially when it comes to our judicial system in this country. The kind of politics we subject it to, especially in the House of Parliament. And for me, I don't care. Even if it is done by the National Democratic Congress, I would express publicly my resentment when it comes to some of these things. So it is difficult to understand the expectations of the mini minority side of the House. Like you indicated, whichever way they turn, the NDC is the majority in the House. And a decision will be taken. Because we believe that we are acting based on the mandate that was given to us on the 7th of January. And so any exercise of authority or support is seen as a reflection of the collective desires of the good people of this country. Indeed, he, on the 14th of December, on Joy FM, made that emphatically clear that the NDC has been given a mandate to discharge their responsibilities on behalf of the Ghanaian people.
You kept the date?
Of course, because it was important.
Amazing.
You see,
Very well.
And you see, for them, and you see, what worries me, Nana, finally, what worries me is that I think that these people are just out to waste the time of the Ghanaian people and to punish the Ghanaian people for voting them out and to be destructive in terms of their politicking. And I'll tell you why. In that same interview, my brother indicated that. In that same interview, my brother indicated that they are waiting to laugh. Because in his estimation, the NDC will disappoint the Ghanaian people and they will be subjected to pain. And instead of him to sympathize, God forbid, even if something like that should happen, his intimation was that they are waiting to laugh at the Ghanaian people.
Laugh at the NDC or laugh at the Ghanaian people?
You didn't say that.
The video is there.
I'm sitting here.
I can pull it out.
He's right here.
I can pull the video out.
Listen.
I can pull the video out.
Calm down. You said things I didn't react. You are lying right before me.
I am
here. You are lying right.
Nana, you can pull that
What
out
kind
the
of-
video. I can pull out the video
What
for
kind
your
of
producers
courage
to
is
play.
this? That I'm sitting
You want me to
right
pull it
here.
out?
Pull out.
I can pull it out for
Yes,
your
give it to
producers.
them.
Wrap it up.
Why?
You see,
Yes,
himself.
You didn't used to be like this. Why? I'm sitting here,
He
right?
can defend himself.
But you see, so but that is the NPP we are dealing with. They are interested in being relevant at this critical moment, where they are supposed to actually go back, do self-introspection, and rebuild their party and begin to win the confidence of the Ghanaian people bit by bit. Because like I've always indicated, we need them when it comes to our democracy.
Yeah.
I'm not part of those who feel that the NPP should be made or rendered useless when it comes to the democratic dispensation of this country. My multi-party democracy.
Yeah.
And I'm an advocate.
Yeah.
I am an advocate of multi-party democracy. And I think that it should be in our interest to also charge them to demonstrate some level of responsibility when it comes to their role as an opposition party. We did so, same, when we were in opposition. We took government on very sensitive issues that actually affected the lives of the Ghanaian people.
Very well.
We complained about issues like the $51 million that was used to dig an expensive hole for the people of this country, on behalf of the people of this country. These were legitimate criticisms. We complained about the PDS scandal. We complained about the domestic debt exchange program and the havoc it caused businesses. In fact, in most cases, we led demonstrations. We complained bitterly about the economic policies of the NPP.
They started complaining too.
No, but they have. So these are the kind of engagements I would want us to have.
Responsible opposition.
Responsibility. But even you, do you understand the basis of the drama that Afenyo Markin spearheaded in Parliament yesterday? And the grounds for it. Do you genuinely understand it?
Perhaps
The
Dennis
rationale
can
behind
help
the
us.
objection.
Let me go to Dennis.
So these are some of the issues we need to take them on.
Right.
They
Thank you,
owe
Hamza.
us a duty to be responsible.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Hamza.
It's okay.
Dennis.
You've spoken now. I think you're even tired. This is one of the few days that you've spoken.
The plan is I don't want you to talk.
No, it's okay.